3I Atlas, a third ever interstellar object observed from Earth, currently racing through our solar system now.
A rock that big is 1 million times more massive than the previous interstellar objects that we've seen, Oumuamua and Borisov.
An invisible tether of energy suddenly connects them. On one end, the sun, a raging nuclear furnace over 900,000 miles across. On the other, a tiny frozen visitor from interstellar space known as Comet 3I/ATLAS. For a split second, a link that shouldn't exist flickers into reality, captured by NASA's most guarded secret, a quantum satellite. Then all chaos breaks loose. This is the recording that defied physics, an observation so strange it forces us to ask what's really going on in our solar system when we think we're not looking. The details are more shocking than you can imagine. A signal from the void. You see, for decades, we've studied the sun with an incredible array of powerful telescopes. We thought we had a pretty good handle on how it behaves. It's a star, a massive ball of hot gas governed by the predictable laws of gravity, magnetism, and nuclear fusion. But not all things are what they seem. In late 2020, something happened that threw the rulebook out the window. It involved a visitor from the depths of interstellar space. A comet designated C/2019 Y4, but more dramatically known as Comet ATLAS. What makes this story so mind-bending isn't just the comet itself, but how we saw it. Many people are crazy about NASA's public-facing missions, the Hubble telescope, the Mars rovers. But the thing nobody tells you is that there are other projects, secret instruments designed to look at the universe in ways we can barely comprehend. Enter the star of our story, a next-generation, highly classified quantum imaging satellite. This isn't your average telescope that just captures light. Think of it more like a sensor that can detect the universe's most subtle energetic connections, the quantum strings that tie space and time together. Its primary mission is unknown to the public, but when Comet ATLAS began its perilous journey towards the sun, the satellite was watching, and it recorded the impossible. As the comet, a fragile ball of ice and dust no more than a few football fields across, swung towards the sun, the satellite's quantum sensors detected a flicker. For a few brief, stunning moments, an energetic connection formed between the sun and the comet, a tether of plasma and magnetic fields that, according to our current understanding of physics, simply should not have been there. It was as if the two bodies, separated by millions of miles of empty space, were suddenly and deliberately linked. Scientists on the classified project were stunned. Standard physics says the sun's influence on a comet is purely gravitational and radiative. It pulls on it with gravity and blasts it with heat and solar wind, causing it to shed gas and dust. There's no mechanism for a direct, focused energy link to form. Yet, the quantum data was undeniable. This tether pulsed with energy just moments before a massive solar eruption occurred, almost as if the comet's arrival had triggered a response from our star. The implications are staggering. Was this a freak accident, a 1 in a trillion quantum event, or did we witness a form of communication between celestial bodies? A process so alien that we don't even have the words to describe it. The outcome defied physics, leaving researchers with a terrifying and exhilarating possibility. Our understanding of the cosmos is fundamentally incomplete. What came next was even stranger as scientists looked back at the comet's mysterious history. Atlas, the doomed traveler. To understand just how strange this event was, you have to know about the comet itself. Comet Atlas wasn't just any random chunk of ice. The moment it was discovered in December of 2019 by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS, in Hawaii, astronomers knew it was special. You see, its orbit was almost identical to that of the Great Comet of 1844, a legendary celestial event that dazzled observers over a century and a half ago. This was a cosmic ghost returning from the past. The math suggested that Comet ATLAS was a fragment of the very same parent body that produced the Great Comet, a massive object that likely shattered into pieces about 5,000 years ago. This new fragment had been traveling on a lonely 4,400-year orbit to finally return to the inner solar system. And what a return it was promising to be. In early 2020, Atlas began to brighten at an astonishing, almost unheard of rate. Every day it grew more brilliant. Stargazers and astronomers were buzzing with excitement. Projections showed it could become bright enough to be seen with the naked eye, perhaps even during the daytime. People were getting ready for what could have been one of the most spectacular comets of the last 2 decades, a true once-in-a-generation sight. But not all things are what they seem. The comet was putting on a great show, but it was a fatal one. The rapid brightening was a sign of its own undoing. Then, just as the hype reached its peak in late March, the unthinkable happened. The comet suddenly stopped brightening. In fact, it started to get dimmer, fast. Astronomers around the world watched in confusion. What was going on? The leading theory was as dramatic as it was disappointing. The comet's icy core, its very heart, was fragmenting. The beautiful show it was putting on was its death rattle. The intense heat from the sun was causing the frozen gases within the comet to burst forth so violently that it was tearing itself apart from the inside out. Instead of a brilliant cosmic diamond in the May sky, we were about to witness a celestial funeral. The Hubble Space Telescope was quickly pointed at the fading comet, and on April 20th, it confirmed everyone's fears. The images were haunting. Where there was once a single nucleus, Hubble saw a string of about 30 house-sized fragments, each enveloped in a ghostly shroud of dust. The great comet had crumbled into a cosmic graveyard, but its disintegration was precisely what led to the physics-defying observation. Where comets go to disappear. To truly grasp the bizarre nature of the quantum tether, you first have to appreciate the sheer, raw power of our sun and the violent environment Comet Atlas flew into. The sun is not a gentle, life-giving ball of light. It's a chaotic nuclear reactor 1.3 million times the size of Earth. It's a place of unimaginable violence. The surface alone churns at 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and it constantly spews out a stream of charged particles called the solar wind, which travels at over 1 million miles per hour. This isn't just a light breeze. It's a cosmic hurricane that can strip the atmosphere from a planet. For a tiny, fragile comet made of ice and dust, approaching the sun is like flying a paper airplane into a blast furnace. There are 2 main forces that destroy comets. First, there's the intense radiation. As the comet gets closer, the sunlight heats its surface, causing the ices to instantly turn into gas in a process called sublimation. These jets of gas erupt from the nucleus, and if they're strong enough, they can act like tiny rocket engines, spinning the comet faster and faster until it breaks apart under the centrifugal force. The second danger is gravity. The sun's immense gravitational pull creates powerful tidal forces that stretch and squeeze the comet. If the comet's nucleus is weak or already fractured, these tidal forces can rip it to shreds. This is what astronomers expected to see happen to the fragments of Comet ATLAS. They predicted a simple, brutal end for the doomed pieces of ice. But the thing nobody tells you is that the sun's magnetic field adds a whole other layer of deadly complexity. The sun is wrapped in a tangled web of magnetic field lines that twist, snap, and reconnect, unleashing colossal explosions of energy known as solar flares and coronal mass ejections. These events can launch billions of tons of plasma into space at incredible speeds. The fragments of Comet ATLAS flew right into this magnetic minefield. Standard models predicted the solar wind would simply blow the comet's dusty remains away. But the quantum satellite saw something else. It didn't just see a passive object being destroyed, it saw an active participant. The tether suggested that the comet's own chemical and electrical properties were interacting with the sun's magnetic field in a way no one had ever anticipated, creating a feedback loop that may have directly triggered the subsequent solar eruption. It wasn't just being melted, it was plugging itself into the sun's own electrical circuit. When the sun becomes a monster, the truth is, what our sun does to tiny comets is just a little preview, a tiny taste of its true, terrifying power. We think of it as a source of life, a warm, predictable friend in the sky. But the thing nobody tells you is that we are living next to a monster, a hungry, sleeping dragon that will one day wake up and devour everything we have ever known. You see, our sun has a life cycle, and its endgame is written in the laws of the universe. It's a countdown that started billions of years ago, and it ends with the complete and total annihilation of Earth. Here's how it will happen. In about 5 billion years, the sun will run out of the hydrogen fuel in its core. When this happens, its core will shrink and get hotter, while its outer layers will begin to expand, and expand, and expand. It will swell into a terrifying version of itself known as a red giant. We're not talking about it getting a little bigger. The sun will grow so enormous that it will swallow the orbits of Mercury and Venus, vaporizing them into nothing more than cosmic dust. But its hunger won't stop there. Its fiery outer atmosphere will stretch all the way to Earth's orbit, and possibly even beyond to Mars. Long before it physically touches us, the nightmare will begin. The sheer heat from the expanding sun will boil our oceans away, leaving behind a cracked, sterile desert. Our atmosphere will be stripped away by the intensified solar wind. The surface of our planet will get so hot that rocks will melt into a global ocean of lava. Then, the end will come. The red, bloated sun will finally reach us. Our world, with all its mountains, cities, and history, will be consumed. It will be pulled apart by the sun's gravity and incinerated in its fires, erased from existence forever. This isn't a wild theory or a movie plot. This is the confirmed scientific destiny of our planet. The sun that gives us life will one day be our executioner. So when a top-secret quantum satellite sees that same sun doing something impossible, something that isn't in the script, like forming a mysterious tether to a tiny comet, it changes everything. It makes you wonder, is the sun's behavior really as predictable as we thought? Could an interaction with a strange visitor like Atlas be a sign that the sun's internal clock is more complicated, more volatile than our models show? The dragon in our sky is sleeping for now, but the ATLAS event might just be the first sign that it's starting to stir in its sleep. This terrifying potential makes the debate over what really happened even more critical. Forbidden explanations. The official debate between freak coincidence and new physics is what the scientists are willing to talk about on the record. But in the shadows, on encrypted servers, and in hushed conversations, the theories get much, much wilder. Because when you have an event this strange, it attracts ideas from the very edge of science fiction. The thing nobody tells you is that some researchers are looking at the data from the quantum satellite and asking questions that sound like they came from a movie. Here's where the story takes a sharp turn into the unknown. One of the most popular underground theories is that Comet ATLAS wasn't a comet at all. Think about it. It came from interstellar space. It had an orbit that mimicked a famous historical comet, almost like a disguise. It brightened in a way that defied explanation, and then it broke apart just as it got close. What if it was a probe? A highly advanced, self-destructing drone sent by an alien civilization. In this theory, the energetic tether wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was the probe making contact with our sun, either to refuel, collect data, or perhaps even to deposit something. Its disintegration wasn't a failure. It was the final part of its mission, scattering microscopic sensors or materials throughout our inner solar system. But what if the truth is even crazier? Another theory suggests the event was a message, not from aliens, but from the universe itself. In this view, the laws of physics aren't as constant as we think. The tether was a sign of a temporary fluctuation in physical constants, and the comet was just the unfortunate canary in the cosmic coal mine that happened to be there to reveal it. It was a warning that the fabric of our reality is not as stable as we believe, a glitch in the matrix on a solar system-wide scale. Proponents of this idea point to other strange cosmic anomalies, suggesting that the ATLAS event is just one piece of a much larger, more frightening puzzle. And then there's the wildest theory of all, the one that straddles the line between science and ancient mysticism, the idea that the sun is alive. Not alive like an animal, but a form of consciousness so vast and slow that we could never recognize it. In this hypothesis, comets are like cosmic bees, traveling from one star system to another, carrying unique chemical and energetic signatures. The tether wasn't a physical link, but a biological one, an exchange of information. The sun didn't destroy Atlas, it consumed it, learning about the star system it came from. This idea is pure speculation, of course, But the impossible data from the quantum satellite has made even the most sober scientists admit that we are dealing with a profound mystery. This shocking realization led to a cascade of even more unsettling questions. A deliberate act? So what was this energetic tether? What did the quantum satellite actually see? The data, still highly classified, paints a picture that is hard to accept. The connection wasn't a physical object, but a channel of focused plasma and magnetic flux. For a few critical moments, the space between the Sun and the largest fragment of Comet ATLAS ceased to be empty. It became a conduit. According to the scientists analyzing the event, the energy flow was two-way. Not only was the Sun's energy pouring into the comet, but the comet's unique chemical signature, its outgassing of specific molecules, seemed to be influencing the Sun's magnetic field in a localized spot, causing it to become unstable. This instability is what preceded the solar flare. It's the cosmic equivalent of pouring a cup of water into a nuclear reactor's control panel and watching it short circuit. This outcome defied physics because comets are supposed to be insignificant. They are cosmic dust bunnies. The idea that a house-sized piece of ice could influence the behavior of a star 1,000,000 times its size is like saying a single raindrop can change the course of an ocean current. It just doesn't fit our models. The mainstream scientific explanation remains that this was a massive coincidence, that the comet just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when the Sun was about to have one of its random outbursts. They argue that the tether seen by the quantum satellite was nothing more than an instrumental glitch or a misinterpretation of complex plasma physics that we don't fully understand. But those inside the secret project aren't so sure. They see a pattern. The comet's strange ancestral orbit, its dramatic and self-destructive brightening, its perfectly timed arrival in a magnetically unstable region of the Sun, and the impossible energy link. It all seems too perfect. The more you look at it, the less it feels like a random accident, and the more it feels like a process, a mechanism. The data from the quantum satellite opens the door to mind-bending possibilities. Could comets be more than just dirty snowballs? Could they be carriers of information or energy, acting as cosmic catalysts that trigger events when they interact with stars? Is it possible that the universe operates on principles of quantum entanglement on a scale we never imagined, where a tiny comet can be intrinsically linked to a star millions of miles away? The data doesn't provide answers, only more profound and unsettling questions. And that forces us to wonder, if this is true, what does it mean for us? The dawn of a new reality. So, let's bring this all down to Earth, because this isn't just about a distant comet and our Sun. This is about us. If this one single event is true, if a tiny, insignificant piece of ice can actually talk to a star and make it react, then we have to ask ourselves, what else are we completely missing? It feels like we've spent our entire history looking at the vast dark universe through a tiny keyhole, feeling pretty smart about the little slice we can see. But the Atlas event didn't just open the door, it kicked it off its hinges, and now we're staring into an abyss of possibilities that are as terrifying as they are revolutionary. The thing is, our very existence depends on the Sun behaving in a predictable way. We live on a tiny, fragile rock that is completely at the mercy of that star's every flicker and flare. Our advanced civilization, with its power grids, its satellites, and its global communication networks, is a delicate house of cards built on the assumption that the Sun is a stable, reliable engine. But what if it's not? If a random visitor like Atlas can influence solar activity, then our neighborhood is 1,000 times more unpredictable and dangerously interconnected than we ever believed. Think about what that really means. Are those massive solar flares that have the power to knock out our electrical grids for months or even years truly random events? Or could some of them be triggered by these cosmic visitors passing by? Imagine a planet-wide blackout, not caused by a storm on Earth, but by a piece of ice millions of miles away that just happened to poke the sleeping dragon in our sky. The illusion of safety has been shattered. We are not the masters of our own little corner of the universe. We are adrift in a cosmic ocean where the currents are driven by forces we are only just beginning to see. This discovery, if it's ever fully declassified and confirmed, would force us to reevaluate everything we thought we knew. It suggests that the vast emptiness of space isn't so empty after all. It might be humming with unseen energy, a web of quantum connections linking every star and every planet. Perhaps ancient civilizations who saw comets as powerful omens and divine messengers weren't just being superstitious. Maybe they were sensing a fundamental truth about the cosmos that our modern science, in its arrogance, dismissed. We traded that raw intuition for cold, hard equations. But what if our equations are missing the most important variable? This quantum satellite may have just provided the first piece of scientific proof that the ancients were right all along. The truth is, we don't know the answers. The data from the quantum satellite is a single baffling breadcrumb in an endless forest. It's a whisper of a possibility that could soon become a deafening roar. The Comet Atlas event might be the first real clue that the universe is far stranger, more mysterious, and perhaps more alive than we ever dared to imagine. We're not just looking at dead rocks and balls of gas. We might be looking at the intricate components of a giant cosmic circuit board, and we have absolutely no idea who or what designed it, or how it works. Are we passive observers in a grand cosmic clockwork, or are we just along for the ride in a system far beyond our control? It makes you wonder, are there other forces at play in our solar system that we are completely blind to? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to explore more cosmic secrets, be sure to like this video and subscribe.